Hi! In this video, my team and I will be talking about the misconception that race has a biological or genetic basis. Introduction. Our team has decided to present 4 main points of evidence in the pursuit of debunking this common misconception. The 4 main points that we'll be covering are how genetic variation is almost non-existent between races, how geography is a better and more accurate measurement of genetic closeness than race, how race was developed as an idea throughout history, and lastly, how humanity has evolved over time as one species.
Now, before we begin, we would like to go over some definitions. The first definition is race. One definition of race from Merriam-Webster Dictionary is any one of the groups that humans are often divided into based on physical traits regarded as common among people of shared ancestry. The next definition is social construction. One definition of social construction from Merriam-Webster Dictionary is an idea that has been created and accepted by the people in a society. The next definition is hypodescent. One definition of hypodescent from dictionary.com is the classifying or identifying of a biracial or multiracial individual as a member of the lower or lowest socially ranking racial group from which that person has ancestry. The final definition is geography. One definition of geography from Merriam-Webster Dictionary is a science that deals with description, distribution, and interaction that deals with the diverse physical, biological, and cultural features of the Earth's surface.
History of humankind. What is a subspecies? The term subspecies refers to one of 2 or more populations within a species that are still capable of breeding with each other despite minor anatomical or genetic differences. All modern humans are defined as a single species, grouped under the genus Homo. 3 species considered the early Homo had coexisted in Africa around 2.0 million years ago. It is argued that niche differentiation among the 3 had allowed for migration, yet it is Homo erectus who had successfully spread throughout the world, reaching the Americas through the usage of a land bridge. This pattern the archaic human took while migrating would come to explain the similarity in genetic makeup found throughout the genome of current populations. It is indeed true that we had evolved from this population who had thrived among the ever-changing African plains. The differentiation you do see in populations today shows the adaptations deemed fit for survival. One supposed race did not evolve from a separate ancestor.
Genetic variation. Oftentimes, people see the existence of race through the representation of different phenotypic attributes like skin color or facial features. In recent years, with the better scientific processes, this has extended into the realm of internal processes and genetics. These differences, however, are normal variations that are present in many species all over the world. These differences are not due to some difference in race, but an accumulation of random mutations throughout humanity's evolutionary history. Although these variations exist, they do not prove the existence of different races in humans. A study done by Wilson, Whale, and Smith in 2001 wanted to test the drug efficacy on different races to improve the drug's performance. In particular, they wanted to compare drug metabolizing profiles of assumed racial groups. During this, they found that commonly used ethical labels and assumed races were inaccurate to describe genetic clusters and thus presented a problem for grouping people to compare drug metabolization. Studies also show the total amount of these differences in assumed racial groups are greater than the total amount of differences between these assumed different racial groups, showing that there are more similarities than it might seem on the surface. In essence, the genetic profile of humans are very similar to each other, and finding differences based on physical attributes or genetic code leads to discovery that there is no concept of race in a traditional sense that can be supported by genetic evidence.
Now we will begin discussing geography as a better race determinant than genetics. According to the National Research Council's panel of race and ethnicity, ethnicity is founded in religious, cultural, and linguistic differences, whereas race is determined by physical differences such as skin color, although the terms of race and ethnicity are often used interchangeably. Different ethnic groups and cultures are found worldwide, across every geographic range of the globe. Some examples of ethnicities would be Hispanic or Pacific Islander. Some examples of race would be black or white. In Manica, Prognol, and Balix's paper on genetic variation, the researchers found, while looking at allele frequencies, that geography was a more accurate determination of a person's genetic code than ethnicity was. The study looked at 51 populations, 377 allele markers. The researchers evaluated members of the population after they had immigrated away. It was found that the farther the members immigrated, the less that allele occurred. Another study done by Stanford University in 2002 evaluated over 4,000 different alleles across 7 geographic locations. Researchers found that 92% of the 4,000 alleles studied were discovered in at least 2 of the 7 locations. This research supports the idea that there is a common likeness to all people around the world despite being different races. The Stanford researchers found that of the 4,000 alleles, just a meager 7.4% of those were unique to one geographic location. The researchers concluded that if racial groups did exist, you would expect to find unique alleles only present in their genetics, only present in people of that race, but there was no confounding research supporting this. Overall, the scientists concluded that there is great amounts of variation within races, that even 2 people of European descent could be more closely related to someone of Asian descent than to one another.
Hi, my name is Shayna. I'm going to be reading Race as a Social Construct. Social constructs are race categories. They are concepts created from preponderant social opinions without any scientific evidence. Back in the 18th century, the division of humans by race was established in the medical field. The science of genetics and evolutionary biology did not exist yet. Carl von Linné and Johann Blombach were the first to use the word race in a medical setting. In 1758, Carl von Linné was the first to characterize humans in the taxonomy of animals. He divided humans into 4 main groups based on the human's psychological and physical appearance. In 1775, Johann Blombach classified humans into 5 categories. These social constructs have 0 scientific validity to reinforce them. Racial taxons are still used in medical teaching, practice, and research, despite proof being out there that race has no biological or genetic basis. Researcher Daniel Hossain investigates 3 proposals made by Shio et al., a group of researchers who promoted this misconception. The claim of ongoing genetics research conducted to wrongly prove a biological basis to race. To assess the assertions that due to an individual's ancestor's biology, the individual could attribute the differences due to race. Hossain was determined to prove wrong the claim that there isn't anything within their findings that might conflict with biological racism. Hossain was clear that even though genomic research is being conducted more rapidly, that doesn't mean scientists should bend to these fictional claims. Hossain clarifies that these claims developed from white supremacy in the 18th century beliefs of race and society. Conclusion. The concept of race is a human-invented term that has no genetic or evolutionary backbone. This bias was developed prior to genetic and evolutionary biology existing. It was touted by Caucasian men in the 1700s that worked in the medical practice and adhered to the medical fields, even in modern society. The history of humans genetically is reflected in the migration of people across the globe. Genetic variation seen in humans reflects this geographic separation, but does not indicate races as traditionally seen. Humans are more likely closely related to those around them than those of the same race. There is no substantial evidence supporting alleles that are unique to specific races. The idea of race as a concept is relatively modern and was primarily constructed upon bad scientific practices. Race does not have a biological or genetic basis. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.